National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board. I also take this opportunity to welcome some of our delegates from Bhutan Public Service Commission, and I request you to give him a big round of applause. So now I hand over the floor to Sri Mittal and request all of you to please switch off your mobile phone and also stop your hotspots which you have created, by the way, from your mobile phone, because there is sometime we are noticing disturbance or interference with the microsystems. Thank you very much, and sir, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Yadav. We have a very interesting session ahead titled Inspiring Innovations. Let me join Mr. Yadav in welcoming you for the second session of the day. We had a great first session, great experiences. The first time I actually learned that Panga is a good word. The speakers in the second session are a lot of international speakers giving their ideas, their experience of promoting innovation. And I see a lot of people from educational institutions around the table. Let me take a few moments to explain to you what new is happening in this field. Possibly this has been talked about earlier also. There is a program that we have joined hands with the Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD and DST have joined hands together to create 3 levels of activity. The first is a startup center. Some of you are aware of that. A startup center is a base level activity which will be established in the publicly funded institutions. The annual support being rupees 50 lakh of rupees. The college or the institution will have to earmark the area of 5,000 square feet, identify 2 faculty members, and help set up or guide 10 startups. So this is the base level activity which will, the cost of this 50 lakhs will be shared equally between the Department of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Human Resource Development. The second level of activity which is planned is technology business incubator, where the funding is proposed to now go up to, earlier it was between 3 to 5 crores, but now it might go up to about between 5 to 10 crores. There you have to identify an area of 10,000 square feet, accommodate about 20 startups. It will be a full-fledged facility, and at the end of 5 years this has to be self-sustainable. Let me also share with you that a startup center can get upgraded to a technology business incubator. The initial period of support will be 3 years. The final stage would be a research park on the lines of what you have in IIT Madras, where the support would be anything close to 70 to 100 crores. And the plan is to establish 7 research parks in the coming years. So these are some of the activities which have been planned with MHRD. Apart from this, there are close to about 200 incubators which exist in the country today, out of which about 100 are funded by us from the Department of Science and Technology. We are now trying to make them world-class incubators. Some of those top performing ones, about 10 of them would be upgraded into world-class incubators with the support of close to about 10 crores per annum each year for 5 years. So that's the other activity which is the last activity which I would like to share with you is the enhancement in the seed funds. Seed funds for startup entrepreneurs. We have been providing support to startup entrepreneurs. Till now, we were giving as a grant of about 2 crores to the incubator, which you cannot give it away as grant, but it could be either an investment or a loan to the startup company or your incubating. Now we are planning to enhance this to rupees 10 crores as a grant to the incubator, and the limit per startup would be from 50 lakhs to 1 crore of rupees. So that's the other. The idea of the seed fund is that you also share the success of these startups when they grow bigger, when you sell that equity, you can be self-sustainable, or after 5 years, when the government stops the support, we actually can share the success of these entrepreneurs. Well, let me now go back to our international guests and request them for their ideas. I am also conscious of the fact that we are running behind schedule quite a bit, and request you to say your things in as short a time as possible. Although we would not like to lose on the ideas, the important ideas which you have, but still would like to request you to keep your intervention as short as possible. Let me first of all invite one of the leading countries in innovation, Israel. We have always talked about Israel as one of the role models in innovation. Let me first invite Professor Uriel Richman, President of IDC, to make his remarks, please.
Thank you very much, and thanks again for inviting us. I intended to speak about our humble experience compared to, and I'll turn immediately back to you, Professor Gupta, to the enormous challenges that you put on this table for India. But let me say at the beginning, we are a small university, 7,000 students, international university, 30% of our student body come from 86 countries, and we are running a program for 15 years, a program of entrepreneurship. That program was designed for 20 students only per year, and over the years, these 20 students have studied in our program of entrepreneurship. Already, we're able to sell exits to the Israeli and American markets by $300 million. There are still 51 active corporations. Three of them are working in the stock exchange of Israel. Others are part of major ventures. And what came out of it, and I say a few words what we did here, but what came out of it was something that was developed into entire university that is thinking and doing startups. Once, as it usually happens, those who couldn't be admitted to the program started on their own behalf in an entrepreneurial club, which now is every year we have 2,000 students in the entrepreneurial club. So we had to come up and support them with their initiatives. And many startups came out from the student club that we were able to provide them certain initiatives and help and connect them to various people. But let me, and our school, immediately our school of computer science started also with startups, and they were working together with our kind of MIT for the poor, smaller MIT Media Lab, creating prototypes and so on and so forth, and it went on. But let me, before coming back to this, say a few remarks, and then I come back to the program. First, I must say, Professor Gupta, that you sit in front of the agendas that you have put on this table, which is humiliating everyone. It is such an undertaking that I'm not sure that only startups, creating startups will solve the major issues of the nation. There is, of course, another avenue which I think is very important we are working with is cooperation between expertise in different areas, putting them together under academic and government things, and creating the models to deal with it. I don't think that you can deal with the problem of water without putting a line of experts and learning from other places and come up with an agenda, having a policy, a unified policy for this issue. And the same applies to issues of let's say, health and medicine.
we have to devise all over the world ways and means of reducing the cost and providing reasonable health system for all. And I was very impressed with Mr. Gundal, but you need much more sophisticated machinery and so on, and build kiosks and have to spend. That can happen only by putting, it's not individual startups, but which is something that you shouldn't forget is the collaboration of academics and expertise and putting it their own. And let me say one more thing. It's looking at the Indian issues. In many cases, are world issues. And the solution for those issues are large-scale production in many cases. It's not that esoteric experiment, although I'm devoting my educational efforts to find, to educate entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, startups, and so on. But the solutions are these large-scale factories and industry and so on. So industry is the one that is putting innovative technology, not always knowing what it will lead to, but that has to be taken into entrepreneurship, and from entrepreneurship has to go back into industry. And this is one shortcoming of our nation. In Israel, we are small and we have many ideas, and the ideas usually don't produce industrial or large-scale enterprises. We are very good in coming with an innovative idea, and then we are, sell it to usually to the United States and to other entrepreneurs, and they are building the large production of it. And maybe we cannot do it because we don't have the span of but India can do it, and India can easily look not only on the creativity of its own, your own people, which is enormous, but also of creativity of others, and take it and have the production here. And by producing, putting the ideas into manufacturing enterprises, you solve part of the problems of the nation by simply bringing in also ideas from outside and going in production, which you can do, and providing employment and solutions to all, and so on. Let me just say that I agree with Professor Sharma with actually what you want, the basic needs to develop an independent person and entrepreneurs, and definitely it is most of all is the independence thinking of a person, the ability of individual to go out, to challenge what is happening up to now, reality, come up with new ideas. But most important is the stubbornness and the ability to persist and go on in most situations that everybody says you will fail and so on. So that is a strong element of this, and I believe that yes, we have to educate, and we do it very much, to educate students to challenge what they hear and be not only critical, which is often the case, but come up, encourage the students to be creative. I totally agree with Professor, I hope I pronounce your name right, from Madhusudan Rao. Okay, but that's from IIT Delhi, which I totally concur. We are working on it all the time. The idea that in order to be entrepreneurial, you have to be international, work with people from all over the world, which we do all the time. Actually, we have our system is by Israeli entrepreneurs that sell an idea, hired to be for a while in Silicon Valley, and thereby you have an ongoing connection to the later things. So you build an infrastructure all over the world, which you perfectly mentioned. And you are absolutely right in the other things. It's the need of educating in which we are very good, in bringing an idea to the market, having a very serious analysis of having identification and then going into venture creation and to analyzing it and really building prototypes, working with industry, working with so on. And what is also very important, which you didn't mention, is having mentors from the industry working with the startup, with the students, to convey them, teach them hands-on, as was also mentioned by Mr. Kondal, hands-on experience and so on, and at the same way have the VCs close to what is happening by advising students, and then they have an immediate connection to money and so on. I would like only to mention one thing that you have perfectly mentioned, and by the way, I had this benefit of visiting universities, and what is happening in the spirit of IIT that you have mentioned, which I salute you. I went also to the University of Delhi and saw that they are doing an exceptionally interesting interdisciplinary education. The only thing that I can add to the interdisciplinary education is the need to start with the challenges of the 21st century. I think we are all a little bit, not, if you want to educate leadership and entrepreneurs, and they have to understand the challenges of the 21st century, which are also the challenges of India. And if, with your permission, Professor Gupta, perhaps I can show a very short movie, what we are doing in educating the students to face the challenges of the 21st century.
Is to educate the future leaders of Israel. In order to do so, we have to educate them to deal with the major challenges of the 21st century. The first one is sustainability. The problem of providing for the future of almost 8 billion people living on this planet are enormous.
Hi, my name is Professor Yoav Yair, and I'm the Dean of the School of Sustainability. I'm teaching the course Planet Earth in the 21st Century, A Citizen's Guide. I hope to educate my students to become responsible crew members, understand what's going on our planet, and maybe change the way they live. This course does not only portray the challenges and threats facing our planet in the 21st century, it also offers a vast field for coming with solutions and ideas that will make our whole planet a better place to live in the future.
The second major challenge has to do with biomedicine. For the first time in human history, Homo sapiens is changing itself and actually recreating itself.
My name is Daniel Levy. Most of the time I'm a cognitive neuroscientist, but I'm also the instructor in the course Body and Mind, the New Life Sciences. Today, science is able to provide an incredible opportunity to tame the forces of nature and their service in a way that has never been possible in the past. There have been tremendous advances in our understanding of genetics. But what are the implications for things like genetic engineering, for genetically modified crops, for genetically modified livestock? Are we creating monsters? This is about a whole different way of thinking, an expansion of the mind to see the world in a different way.
The third issue is the next generation of the revolution of communication and information technology, but also in three-dimensional printing and robotics.
I'm Dr. Guy Hoffman. I teach the course Networks, Cell Phones and Robots, Computers in the 21st Century. I think about our students as the future leaders of the society, and I think as a leader of the society, you have to understand the forces that shape the society. The course is a high-level look at how computing technology is shaping our society and shaping human life in a variety of aspects, from security and privacy, through robotics, artificial intelligence, big data, human-computer interaction, interfaces. So it really doesn't matter what your field of study is or what your background is. If you're interested in how computers shape your field, your world, and your life as a human on Earth today, this class is free.
The fourth challenge has to do with a change of the way we are looking at the world. We are living in a global world. There are no longer state economies. There is enormous cooperation between different countries.
Hi, my name is Dr. Shavit Matias. I teach the course on globalization in the 21st century. You cannot really be an effective decision maker without understanding how the globalized world works and how it may affect you. The truth is that globalization affects everything in every area. So to operate a successful business in today's world, you have to understand how international institutions work, how international regulations work. You have to understand the different trade issues between states, what your rights and opportunities are, and this is part of what we're trying to do in the course, whether it's true for the businesses or whether it's true for the government officials or for the academics.
We are living in fascinating time with tremendous challenges. The importance is to understand not only where we are, but what are the missions for tomorrow. Our students are educated to be the gatekeepers of progress in society. I would like to see our graduates being involved in moving civilization forward. It is an enormous challenge for IDC, and I'm very happy that we can lead the way in adopting new education in the 21st century.
Well, in the spirit of, thank you. In the spirit of globalization, there is a lot that we can learn from my short visit here and compare notes. I think it was a fascinating experience. And let me only finish by saying that the challenges of the global world are yet to be met by technology, because there are so many issues that we don't know exactly how to deal with it. We have to develop new ideas how to deal together with global crisis management, with global development, with so many issues that time is short to really put it on the table. But I, as one, am looking forward of cooperating and learning from what is happening here and providing the idea that we can. Israel succeeded in being the per capita, the largest innovation. And the secret is simply, it was need. It started all with the small people on the verge of extinction, coming to a land, and has to find them ways and means, economic means, dealing with a desert land, finding solutions to water, to industry, to defense, and so on and so forth. And the first stage was basically socialistic effort by all the people that were on the verge of distinction to work, and the government and the solutions were. Today we understand that the world has changed, and there should be ways and means of unifying, providing incentives to individuals to privatistic effort, but at the same time educate, and that has to be also mentioned, educate the innovators, the future entrepreneurs with a social commitment to the society and the people that live it. And I would say, add to it, a commitment to be also good citizens of the globe that we are living in and cooperate about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Richman. Would Professor Eric Zimmerman would you like to supplement something? Or, okay, thank you. We will now move on to our next speaker, Mr. Mark Prensky, founder of the Global Future Education Foundation from USA.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you again for having me. I've been now on all sides of the table, almost. I've been over there, I've been over there, now I'm over here in the middle. I look forward to being over where you guys are a little bit later. I want to address something that I heard this morning and that made a disconnect for me. And maybe this will be of use to you in some way.
One of the things we heard a lot this morning is this idea of fear of failure.
And how there's a huge fear of failure in terms of the young people and the people in the, and why that's a problem. Well, here's what I thought. What is our solution for innovation? The first one is we encourage startups. What is the failure rate of startups? I asked the gentleman who was sitting here, the VC. Guess what it is? 90%. That's the rate of failure in startups. The second thing we're doing is competitions around, like the university exam system, where we choose the top 2 and we choose the top thing. Most people in a competition fail. Only 1 or 2 win the prize. So we have these systems of failure, and then we wonder why our kids are afraid of failing. We have to do, I think, something about that, because if you set up your innovative system like this, of course people will be afraid of failing. So what's the solution? I think the solution is we have to empower everybody to succeed, and we have to start that very early. And so I want to propose something that I've written about in my new book, and that I'm proposing to any country, but I think India would be great for it, to say, next year, we won't make school about subjects or math or English or science or social studies. We'll make it about improving India. That's what school will be about. Every single kid in India, with the help of their teachers, will do something that improves India. Now, you can call that an innovation, you can call it whatever you want, but as soon as something improves, even if it's a little bit, everybody succeeds. That person succeeds. Now, we've got a generation that shares. We've got a generation of Instagram, and you heard about the numbers of phones out there. So we share these things that improve India in one place
with every place. And everybody replicates them, like the drinking fountain yesterday. And so we get all this huge amount of replication going on. And the third thing is that as the replication goes on, there's improvement. So everybody who does this, takes the same solution that somebody found, makes it better. And we collect all these things, and that's what we can do with technology now.
So as the kids identify these problems, and I think this should start really in the earliest grades, in kindergarten,
in the first grades of school, we need to ask the kids, what problems do you see around you? Now, as they identify their own problems, we can collect them in a database. Because somebody rightly said, we don't want to start with the technologies, we want to start with the problems. So here's a set of problems, and go at it. Choose the one that is interesting to you because of your interests and your capabilities, and let's work on it. Our teams don't have to be in a single school anymore. Our teams can be national. Our teams can be virtual. Those are the kind of things. Whatever you do, let's improve India. And now I'm going to give you one example from my country because I'm collecting these things. I think that real world accomplishment, starting very early, is what is going to lead to the kinds of improvements that we want. So we don't start when the kids get to college teaching them entrepreneurship. They've been doing it for 12 years before they get to college. So in the U.S., it turns out in a place near Atlanta, which some of you may have heard of, there was an incident that happened. The police came to a family's house, and it was a mistake. And they realized from almost the very beginning that they had been called for some wrong reason. And it was a family of a father and a son and three teenagers. A father and a wife and three teenagers. But the police decided, even though they knew that this was the wrong reason, they shouldn't have been there in the first place, they still put everybody in the family through the system, through the computer. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And the kids in that family, and probably the parents too, felt harassed by the police. Well, today's kids, and I talk about this a lot, are a lot more empowered than people were in the past. These kids had taken some programming courses on the internet. Not in school, but on the internet. They decided to create an app. And they did. And they built an app that's kind of like Yelp, so they had a model to go. It's an app that lets you rate your local police encounters. So if you have any encounter with your local police, you go onto the app and you rate them. And then, like anything else, it aggregates, and you can compare your community to the next community, to the next village, to whatever it is, and see how the police behaves. Well, so that turned out to be very good, and it got reported, and it's up on the Android website, Google Play, and it's gotten used. But here's the most interesting thing to me. So I went to look for this up on Google Play, and I saw that there were tons of comments about this app. And some of the comments were from what I assume to be perhaps older people saying, good for you, we needed this, and this is a great thing to have thought of and have done. But half the comments, at least, were, okay, you did that great. Here's how you make it better. And I think those were probably from younger people. Here's what's missing in this app. Here's what you could do. Look at this, look at that. And that's innovation. That's what we need. That's really somebody doing something, solving a problem, and then everybody else pitching in and saying, we can make this whole thing better because it really is a problem and we can solve that. And that's what I see the young people of today being able to do. So I highly recommend, I love this, but the solution to a problem is not, with all due respect, Professor Eggman, to create a course. Courses are things that people used to do in the old days. Now we have to collaborate. We have to build things. We have to improve things. So I hope, my hope for India is that you will say to every kid in the country, every young person in the country, you can improve India. Go out and say to them the two words that are the most important words that we can say to kids these days. Surprise us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mark Rensky. In fact, you pointed out a very well thought, that is, surprise us. Innovation is all about surprising us. Thank you very much for your thoughts. We now move on to Professor John Webb, OM Research Professor, Center for Transformative Information, Australia.
Thank you very much, Srinath, for that invitation to say a few comments. First of all, I can say that the world has been simplified in the last day and that the other Dr. Webb has left. So there's only one Australian and there's only one Dr. Webb. So it's a little less complicated a situation for me anyway, of being confused with somebody else. But look, I'm an academic by background, academic chemistry researcher who went into diplomacy in a sort of long journey from sort of Caltech to Delhi. But now I'm in a business school, which is an environment which I never ever thought that I'd land in. And the reason I'm there is because I can help to connect our university to India, to the challenges and opportunities that that relationship involves. And from my experience, and really it's the one core belief that I have on this point, is that collaboration, and particularly international collaboration, is a way where you can create new knowledge, new science, but also new innovations and new outcomes that you just don't get by yourself. I mentioned a couple of days ago that in Australia we have a reputation of being very good at research. We always get highly ranked in terms of basic research, but we also are not very good at translating that research into processes or products. And in Australia, that's kind of been around the situation for a long time. We have a sense now that there's a new beginning with a new Prime Minister, a new kind of public discourse that includes words like innovation, this is a lovely one, agility, all these sort of fast-moving words and creative words. And universities are picking up that challenge and are keen to really take advantage of that mood, that new mood in the country and in the community, to encourage innovation both on their campuses and by their students and alumni. And while I can't speak, obviously, for Australian universities in general, I can just make a couple of comments about the university I'm at now, which is Swinburne University of Technology. And I've only been there for about a year, so I'm learning how they are working to configure themselves to be really innovative and to support innovation within their learning community. So the engineering school and the design school are now working much more closely together with the business school to understand and support innovation by their students. The university already has a joint PhD program with IIT Madras, but we also want deeper engagement with India at the grassroots level, because one of the important features of the discourse on campus is around social entrepreneurs and social impact. So we're trying to put together the kind of engineering, design, business set of ideas and thoughts and beliefs with the social, not just corporate, but social responsibility for all of us and for all the things that we do. So we're trying to build in an ethical dimension to have students reflect about what they do, but encourage them to be adventurous. Because if we can do that, and it transforms our students' learning experience, and that's probably the focus here, is to make a difference to the students. And we've been fortunate in that some of our students have been able to work in collaborative fashion with the Honeybee Network to engage with that whole extraordinary initiative around grassroots innovation, around inclusive innovation. The address that you see on behind my name is a slightly complicated and rather messy one. I have Professor John Webb, and then there are 3 letters, OAM, Research Professor, blah, 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 blah. When I was in Delhi, that OAM caused incredible confusion. It's just a national award, a bit like Padma Shri. So, and we're required to use it. So I used to get correspondence to the embassy addressed to Dear Professor Om. And I was given so much hassle by my staff that I ended up dropping it from all my business cards because it was too confusing. It was the last thing on the name, so you think it's the family name at the end, and Om is such a special sound that it was a bit pretentious to have it on your name in India. But after that, my address lists me as, again, involved with the Centre for Transformative Innovation. And this is a business school initiative to try to understand innovation while supporting initiatives within the university to encourage innovation. So there's kind of analysis of innovation. And the group contains some hardcore economists who look at large databases of intellectual property, of patents issued regionally, nationally, globally, to try to understand what's actually happening out there in the market. And the second group is an unusual group, which are psychologists. And they're the groups which really have a particular perspective to offer on innovation. Of course, it came to my idea, innovation is many things, but one of the things it is a human enterprise. So to understand the human dimensions of initiatives, of adventure, of innovation is something which we think is quite relevant. And so the psychologists are quantitative psychologists. So they look at social networks and how you have nodes and connections and identifying the kinds of patterns within very successful or perhaps not successful networks. Corporates are picking up this, and they've just developed or finished a study for Boeing within their research labs to work out, who are the people that other people work with and or listen to. So it's quite a fascinating exercise in understanding innovation and as a sort of human enterprise. So I can't really, I don't claim to have any particular knowledge about entrepreneurship. The business school is very keen on that. I just have no particular experience. I'm not an innovator except as a researcher. And in fact, I felt a little bit uncomfortable that people were splitting the two, because in fact, if you're successful at research, you basically are an innovator, and it may be around ideas and then being able to do experiments or about a project that you can create and deliver, whether it's social sciences, physical, environmental sciences. Innovation is not a word that I think, is a word that is a very broad impact, and I think we could celebrate it in many different ways. And certainly I've had an absolute amazing time here in engaging with a whole range of people, but also learning a lot more about Indian initiatives on inclusive innovation. And that's the message I'm going to take back home to Australia and to my university. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor John Webb. You particularly highlighted the need to encourage students to be adventurous. You also differentiated between an innovator and an entrepreneur, which we see all the time in the country. All innovators are not great entrepreneurs, and not all entrepreneurs are great innovators. So we generally say that we build teams, balance out with innovator, with entrepreneurs. We will now move on to our Indian speakers, starting with Professor S.K. Saha, the head of the Department of Mechanical Engineering and coordinator of the Rural Technology Action Group at IIT Delhi. Professor Saha, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And I'm honored by the organizing committee for this invitation and sharing my experience in front of this August gathering. I'm basically an educator and researcher, so I'm going a little deeper by telling these researchizing rural problems. Many times we see our professors and students think these are, the rural problems that do not require much of high tech, and Professor Gupta will not like it when people use it, it equals only jugaad, right? But we know that also a great innovation is required. So with this, just a little experience where I started with, of course, with the NIF. I had a great experience 2001 and 4, and that was my foundation with the rural thing. Almost the same time, we worked for the carpet industries in Bhadoi. There was a large demand of how to improve the technology. So that was the time I realized that many of my students and many of my colleagues said, "Oh, we have अच्छा projects, चलो करना चाहिए actually. So will you join hands? देखो इस साल थोड़ा सा busy हो, अगले साल try करेंगे, right?" So then I realized maybe something else has to be done. So how to convert them, to research was my then motivations. And when something is happening, sending the students to the conferences, so that these problems get exposed to our community. And then I thought, let's give it the PhD and MTech problem. So I gave as a PhD thesis, which has come out as a book by Springer. And that becomes my selling point, that how researchizing of rural problems can be done. And 2014 onwards, the Rural Technology Action Group, the RUTAG, it is from the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. So through their activities, we publish papers. If it can be clicked on the link there, I can show you the paper which we published in Indian Academy of Science journal called Current Science. So women empowerment by technologically manufacturing the beads from polybacille. If you can go down, there are a lot of pictures. Obviously, you will not be able to read it. But let me explain you, in the area of Bharatpur, in the area of Mathura Vrindavan, these holy gardens called Tulsi Malas get sold. And the women made those small beads using tape recorder motors. and they will stop with almost like 2000 RPM with their fingers, so obviously it gets muscle pain. So it comes to us, we just introduce a small switch, a domestic switch, and little bit of support here and there, and it increases their income by about 3 to 4 times, and it came in Hindu as a news article as a holy technology. So later on I submitted this paper in IIC Bangalore some conference, and later on they shortlisted and it published as a paper. So we can go back now. So what I'm trying to tell here is,
even publication is not so difficult if you can find out what is the research content in it. Okay, so then in order to popularize, next slide please. This. Okay, yeah. So this is the experience. I just briefly in 2-3 slides. This is the carpet, which is hand woven. And this is the improved loom we have introduced. And to make it little popular to the students, we use modern tools like finite element analysis using ANSYS to find out what is the beam. And that way we make it fashionable, right? So many times it happens, students come, and when I give this kind of problem, sir, मेरे को तो higher studies करना है. I say, so what? No, मेरे को अमेरिका जाना है. So what, right? Then when I realized if I introduce this problem as a research, they can analyze these things, they can go anywhere in the world for any kind of technology they want to get introduced to. So once one of such a PhD thesis has published as a book, that becomes my selling point to tell people that if you know what is the research content, getting into it is not so difficult. So then RUTAC activity has started. It's in 7 IITs. So RUTAC is actually complementary to many other activities. Here we go to the action part of it. If somebody is facing some problem, we try to get into this, give the student projects, and get the solutions, and then give back to the society. So some newsletters are lying on the desk on the other side, so you can just, you don't be able to read it. I just wanted to show you the graph. The RUTAC IIT Delhi, even that design was done in such a manner, it looks like in the script section. We can go back. Okay, next. So, okay, so these are the ongoing projects. In brief, the left-hand one is the furnaces we are improving for making jointless bangles, which is very holy for marriages. The second one is bullock-driven tractors. There are many places where animals are still can be utilized. The third one is the solar treadle pump. It was very popular in Bangladesh once, and then came to India, and now people are trying to use solar. The fourth one is the shift-sharing devices. It was imported from Australia and England. People in India, they do hand sharing, so we are introducing the motors here. The fifth one is the groundwater level measuring devices. You just dip this device and you will be able to measure from the tape that how much is the deep is the water level. And the latest one, Madam Paul has already mentioned, just about 2-3 weeks ago we visited. And on the center, you see there is a Shirodhara, the bed. And on the right-hand side, quick Google search has given me that there are foldable beds are available. It costs about 20,000 rupees. And at the bottom, you see it becomes like a small briefcase, so you can carry to the houses wherever you want to give this treatment. On the extreme left, it's very similar stand, but it is adjustable now, which is one of the requirements. But there are at least 4 or 5 different models, so we'll share this information with the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and then we'll decide one. At the bottom is those molds. So there are different material, one of them plasticine. We'll be exploring to see how it can be utilized. So with this I conclude the researchers, which include faculty, scientists, students, must convert grassroots problems to the research problem, because I think we got trained in that thing, and I think I call it an innovative research, right? And they are difficult because no prior literature is so easily available. Now, if you just give Google search, it will not come so easily. And I consider them as a researcher social responsibility, RSR, in line with CSR. The corporate social responsibility, and I think we can keep aside about 5% of our time to do this kind of research. So with this, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Sahab, for your very valuable inputs, especially the term the research social responsibility. We will now move on to another professor from IIT Delhi, Professor Virendra Kumar, Head of the Department of Center for Rural Development and Technology and Coordinator for Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Professor
Namaskar. I represent Center for Rural Development, IIT Delhi. This has been in existence for the last 35 years. Our group of faculty members, students, and we are collaborating with various voluntary agencies in the country. And in the past few years, we were discussing that how these institutions can help rural development, rural technologies in the country. When we were discussing all this with the voluntary agencies, the questions always came before us that really these institutions are helping our country. The name of our institute is Indian Institute of Technology. So when the review of IIT was going on before last 7 years, Dr. Chidambaram and these people were having discussion with the faculty members of IIT Delhi. The question came, how India-centric your developments are? How many students of IITs are developing Indian technologies? When I talk about Indian technologies, it means the 70% of the population which is residing in rural areas. So then most of our students are either working in multinational companies or US and Europe and some other places. And very few people are really contributing to the indigenous development of technology. So in the whole discussion which had taken place in past so many years, recently in 2014, a group of people with some NGOs in India, those who are working in tribal areas, IIT and some other faculty in different IITs, हम लोगों ने सोचा कि कुछ काम करना चाहिए, तो we organized one workshop that is called Unnat Bharat Abhiyan in IIT Delhi. We invited approximately 350 NGOs, voluntary agencies, IIT faculty members and some other stakeholders. How we can shape up the country's academic programs, research programs, and they can contribute significantly for rural areas. We invited the Honorable Minister for Rural Development to inaugurate this program, and when we discussed about the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan with her, immediately she jumped upon it and then said, I will make it a national program. And like in this way, the program was envisaged and finally launched by the Honorable President of this country in November 2014. Now, MHRD is the coordinating ministry of this Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, but it is not only restricted to one ministry, because many 18 ministries in the government of India are contributing for rural areas and rural development. So the objective, when we started, that we should have Shikshit Bharat, Swasth Bharat, Swachh Bharat, Swavalambi Bharat, Swabhimani Bharat, and Sampann Bharat, in the lines of our Honorable Prime Minister's motto, that if we have to build the nation, we have to start from the villages. And we had taken few subject areas like organic agriculture, water management, alternate energy sources, rural artisans, handicrafts, and basic communities to rural areas. And the objective of this was that, but the reason kept for this program was to involve professional institutions of the country in the development of self-sufficient and sustainable village clusters in tune with the notion of Gram Swaraj, which was propounded by our father of this nation, Mahatma Gandhi. And based on this, these subjects were identified and how the academic institutions or the institution of higher learning can contribute for rural development. होता क्या है कि आपका कोई कैंपस है आईआईटी का, एनआईटी का, आईएम्स का, दूसरे का, और उसके सराउंडिंग में अगर कोई गांव है तो दे आर नॉट कंसर्न्ड विद दैट. कैंपस के अंदर जो लोग रह रहे हैं उनको आसपास के गांवों से कोई मतलब नहीं है, गांव वाले जो रहते हैं उनको कैंपस वालों से मतलब नहीं है. So what kind of education program, academic programs we are running? हम अपने पास वालों का भी ध्यान नहीं रखेंगे तो कैसे काम चलेगा? So then ministry has instructed all the institutions of higher learning in the country that you adopt some villages in your district, in your area, and work for that. So the mission kept was that develop the necessary mechanism and proper networking among educational institutions, implementation agencies like Panchayati Raj institutions and the grassroots voluntary organizations to enable effective interventions at the field level, and to select suitable rural clusters and effectively participate in the holistic development of these clusters. So the institution of higher learning should interact with the district administration, district collectors, Jila Panchayat, CEO, Jila Pramukh, Gram Sarpanch, work with them and make a village development plan, and then they can contribute for the science and technological interventions and other requirements which are there in that particular village. And keeping all these in mind, the objective of Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, that expediting the process of indigenous sustainable rural development with effective support from professional institutions of higher education, and building capacity in institutes of higher education for research, training and development of technologies relevant to national needs, especially those of rural areas. So now we are reorienting our academic programs, research program, and this is a kind of paradigm shift in our education system. That our students, our faculty members, and our institution of higher learning should contribute for rural areas. They should make their plans, their research areas, and student activities in such a way that they really, the societal problems came to them and they solve the problems. So now we are coordinating with NSS program, which is the largest program among the students for this nature, and MOU has been signed with NSS coordinator in the country and Unnat Bharat Abhiyan coordinator in MHRD, and now there are 40,000 units of NSS in the country. So along with NSS program for students, voluntary agencies, and institutes of higher learning like IITs, IIMs, NITs, central universities, and other institutions, we are initiating this program to be rolled out in village areas and rural areas. And till now, for the year of 16-17, approximately 89 districts have been identified with 44 institutions in the country to initiate this program, and in next 2-3 years we will be getting the whole more than 600 districts in the country. So this is not only a program of small nature, and it is envisaging a complete paradigm shift in our program, and the mechanism or the organizing structure for this, that there will be many numbers of participating ministry like Ministry of Rural Development, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Sources, MHRD and others, MSME. Then there is a National Steering Committee, then there are coordinating institutions, IITs, NITs and other assessment interventions, and there are voluntary agencies to how to make use of all the basic infrastructure which is available in the country, like Gram Panchayat, then Block and then Jila Panchayat, and the educational institutions people like faculty members and students will be involved in their development planning, and district admission will take care that the knowledge institution will really contribute for their village development plans. So there are number of ministries. 18 we have.
Can you
just 2 minutes? I am concluding here. So there are about 10 subject areas. These are organic agriculture, which is taken care by Indian Council of Agricultural Research, rural craft and artisans by IIT Kanpur, rural industrialization by Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Rural Industries, rural energy system by IIT Delhi, watershed and water management by IIT Kharagpur, rural sanitation by NIT Suratkal, rural housing by IIT Gandhinagar, improving corporate in rural development by IIT Guwahati, IIT and rural education by IIM Bangalore. So these are the 10-11 subjects which are being initially rolled out, and on these subjects we are envisaging that we will prepare a status report on this, that how in these areas these institutions can help out our rural areas in the country. And we are envisaging that in the next 5 years this will be covering the whole country, all the districts and villages, and more than 40,000 institutions will be having Unnat Bharat in the country with the help of MHRD and the state education departments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kumar. We will now move on to presentation by the Technology Business Incubators. We have 2 ladies here who are going to present that. And may I first of all call upon Ms. Dipanvita Chattopadhyay, who heads she is the chairperson of the ICICI Knowledge Park in Hyderabad, has done some wonderful work by incubating technology-led startups, and she has a rich experience in promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. Dipanvita.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal. Thanks for inviting me, Professor Gupta, to this August gathering. Of course, I'm not from Ahmedabad. My incubator and my science park and incubator is in Hyderabad, and we've also expanded in Bangalore. So it's kind of it's our 15, 16 years of journey. So we have more than 200 companies that we have supported. 70% of them are startups. I'm not going to get into all that statistics, but would like to talk about a program that may be of interest to all of you, which is the Grand Challenges program that we run in India, and what Sharad Sharma was talking about, challenge grants. We started working with the Gates Foundation to look at the Grand Challenges explorations. What happened is, actually, Gates Foundation people came to us from Seattle saying that we are not getting enough proposals for our global Grand Challenges from India, and why is it so? Can you actually scout and make this program known to everyone? So just like what Professor Gupta said, scouting, spreading, identifying, and celebrating Grand Challenges was kind of our mission then. And we started rolling out the Grand Challenges explorations, which is out-of-the-box ideas in the realm of public health. We say global health. Then we started a very interesting program with Gates Foundation, USAID, Government of India, BIRAC, and DFID, where we are talking of what is the largest kind of health problem in India, which is of the infectious disease nature. And we found that tuberculosis is actually impacting lives and health of a very large population in India. Every year, about 2.2 million people get affected by TB. And what kind of solutions? So the Grand Challenges means the problem has to be really grand, and it does not require one person to solve the problem. So we have to really crowdsource solutions. It's not soliciting solutions, crowdsource. Let people from all over India apply. It does not matter whether you are in an institute of repute, whether you are an individual, whether you are a startup, whether you are an SME. We want solutions. So we identify the problem, we identify what kind of grand challenge we want to solve, and we felt tuberculosis is one. And I must say that after 2.5 years, there's we funded 13, and then we took it down to 4, and now we have, and this problem is, how do you make people adhere to the regime of drugs? It's a 6-month course, and most people give up a lot of, I shouldn't say most, a lot of people give up. But there's this DOTS program where actually there's direct observed therapy, but even then there is huge non-compliance. And how do you actually make people adhere to the drug regime? We now have one organization, it's a startup. They're working with RNTCP, Revised National TB Control Program, in 16 states in India, and they are scaling up their solution in 2.5 years. So we could actually get a solution, and it's getting integrated with NICSHE. NICSHE is the e-platform of RNTCP. Then what happened, the other question we asked was, what is the other grand challenge we should be addressing? And we said it's nutrition. Not nutrition related to medicine, it's chronic nutrition. So can we look at the sweet spot of a grand challenge where there's sustainable agriculture, climate resilience, and nutrition? Because you need sustainable agriculture for nutrition. So we are saying agriculture for nutrition. It's just not addressing nutrition, but we are trying to address nutrition through the agri-food system. And now we are working with USAID and DFID, and I'm sure there will be other organizations coming in to not only find out solutions in India, actually take Indian innovations to Africa and South Asia. So it is very interesting to see if we start working with a problem, a challenge that's worth working on, and then so many people are interested in actually working with you. And there is a possibility that we take Indian innovations outside the country. So there's a South-South dialogue. We are working with Africa. We are working, actually, some of the solutions are fantastic. And this is a new program that we've started. So Grand Challenges is something that we really need to work on, and we'll be happy to see how we roll out more Grand Challenges in India. So I think we'll just keep it to this, because there are several other programs that I can talk about, but I think because of paucity of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipanvita. First of all, thank you for keeping it short. The second, thanks for highlighting a very particular niche area of grand challenges. In fact, after this meeting, we are meeting in Niti Aayog. Sharad and all these people have gone there for a comprehensive program on grand challenges. Your inputs are certainly useful. Let me request now Ms. Geeta Chingappa. She is from Trek Step from Tiruchirappalli, from NIT Trichy, and let me request her. In fact, let me share with you, this was one of the first technology business incubator which was promoted by the Department of Science and Technology almost about 30 years back.
Yes.
So that's, let's hear it from you, Geeta.
Thank you very much, Mithil sir, and I'm indeed honored to be here in this very hallowed place and amidst so many luminaries who are from the innovation and incubation fields. And I thank the organizers and Madam Secretary and the rest of the dignitaries for inviting me here. I'm indeed privileged to be part of a 30-year-old organization, probably the first science and technology park which was established in India. And I welcome you all to my presentation. I just thought I should share with you the great new initiative that the great initiative started actually way back in the 80s by the Department of Science and Technology, which is known as the Technology Business Incubator. So basically the business incubator, if you would say, rests on 4 pillars. It is the intellectual infrastructure that is put in place, the educational training, and basically the social will to take up incubation. Then we have in place the physical infrastructure, because an innovator usually comes to us with a very great idea. But to give him an identity as an incubatory and as an entrepreneur, we have to provide certain physical infrastructure, which also gives him connectivities, because we no longer talk of only Indian markets, we're talking of the global markets. So we have connectivity to the new markets. And we have, of course, a very important thing which has been touched upon by many speakers earlier about us having been slightly risk averse. Now we have to put in a cultural infrastructure which allows people to try out things, to fail and to learn from their failures. And of course, the final one would be the financial infrastructure, which we are now seeing maturing of financial markets and special instruments that are targeted at startup incubatees and startup ventures. So, I mean, these are the typical ideal 4 pillars that would be available, but then as India, which helps the business incubator to perform. But in a large country like India, many times we do not have this kind of an ideal situation. So if you would see, typically, if we were to have even one or all of them compromised, the business incubator's performance should be actually falling. But what happens actually is, it's the innovation and the entrepreneurial spirit that is created within by the incubatees and also among the incubator managers and the staff, which keeps it afloat and continuously keeps contributing to the regional and to the society. So, just to tell you quickly about TrekStep, Mittal sir has already told you that we are a 30-year-old organization. Basically, we are looking at incubating startup ventures from the technology space. We facilitate technology development. We are within the environs of an academic institution which has over 200 professors who are working in different areas of technology. And we also work with the SME sectors in the region, and we work with cluster development programs and the like. And we are very active in the technologies and management skills, because youngsters come to us very strong on technology, but then they need to be equipped to run their own venture. And of course, being one of the oldest organizations, we are very active in the space of disseminating this model across India and also in the global space. So we have been a self-supporting organization for the past 2 decades, and we are very proud of this. And of course, we are a multi-stakeholder, though primarily promoted by DST, but also by the government of Tamil Nadu and state and central financial institutes. So just to cap it up, we are prominent in the space of innovation, entrepreneurship, and skills. I'd like to just tell you a bit about the vast resource network that has been very consciously created at TrekStep. During our initial years, we were basically working with our promoters, our own incubatees, and our immediate surroundings. And post-95, we started working with more organizations in the area. That would be the Confederation of Indian Industry, the railways, and the likes. But it was post the 2000 that we started bringing in international players consciously into this area, so that we would bring in a world of exposure and experiences from across the world for the benefit of our young entrepreneurs. So that was the time when we started working with likes of UNDP, UNIDO, and Cisco, and others. But post-2010, we have been consciously focusing in the areas of clean and green technologies, working in the areas of climate change, adaptation as well as mitigation. So we are looking at very exciting developments that are going to happen, working with much larger organizations like the Global Environmental Facility, the Green Climate Fund, the Switch Asia, which promulgates sustainable consumption and production, and many others like the Global Resilience Partnership, Rockefeller Foundation, and the others. So these contributions across India and in the global arena has given us some accolades and recognitions. We were declared the best STEP and incubator in the year 2001. And we've also been recognized by the Indian Railway Board as the best innovation. Most of you all might recognize this. This is the Nilgiri Mountain Railway, which is a heritage steam locomotive. And we were able to convert an oil-fired, coal-fired system into an oil-fired one. And of course, another very interesting project that we took up was the development marketplace, which is funded by the World Bank, which actually puts in place I'm sure it's I'm running out of time. which actually talks about cold storage centers targeting small farmers, and of course many other awards. But really the feather in our cap would be the 213 technologies which have been commercialized, innovative technologies. And of course, patenting is, as the awareness increases, the patenting would go up, so we have about 19 patents to our credit. If you would see, TrekStep is known as a manufacturing technology, TBI. More than 80% of our ventures are in the space of manufacturing, and we have consciously continued to add value to this particular area. And now that we have a lot of positive policy framework towards this, we are looking at some exciting times ahead. This, of course, is something which I definitely have to tell you about the contribution of the business incubator to society. For every rupee that is invested in a business incubator, after a period of about 5 to 7 years, you get 4 rupees back in terms of the taxes that are paid. In fact, we are being a little conservative by saying 4 rupees. There are even more higher estimates that have been added by our international colleagues. And this is not just for 1 year, but this is year after year. And also, it increases over a period of time because of the new investments that are coming in. So, not just from the taxes, we also create a lot of jobs, new jobs in the region. Then there is investment that goes back into the ventures that are doing well. And to top it all, the real icing of the cake is the innovation, the new products and processes that improve quality of life. So, and a business incubator actually gives back to the government and to society through the taxes paid. And we have also to the community through the new jobs that are created, leads to regional development because of the new investments coming into the region, and also overall to human development. In fact, this is what we call as the rainbow equation of business incubation. We've had good opportunity to work with several pioneering projects in the area of innovation and incubation. In fact, we were the first outsourced center for the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research Technopreneur Promotion Program, which we ran very successfully, and it's still continuing. And there have been some exciting and inspiring innovations that really came out. And these are from across the innovation spectrum, because we feel that in order to extend the realms of innovation into all strata of society, we take up even the grassroots ones as well as the higher ends of technology. Our incubators, our incubatees, not to be left behind, have also won several national and international awards. These are some of the awards that have been recognized, given them a lot of recognition. So it's, it's 16 now, but it's still counting. And then, of course, you have a lot of new technologies that are included. And in fact, I'd like to take the quote of Mr. Rustum Lal Kaka, who says, incubators are promoting large companies which happen to be small now. I kept this slide for the end because I have seen a lot of student innovators assembled in this room, and we've had extensive and very exciting interactions with the students in our NIT as well as in the region, and several programs have been targeted, particularly the Ideas Challenge contest, and we really came out with some wonderful ideas and great things from students. In fact, I can list out a whole lot of students who came out with some wonderful ideas, but perhaps I can take it offline. And then we were also involved in the first TEDx that was held at NIT, and several other stalwarts in incubation were brought to the forum, and students immensely benefited from this, and also from the International Business Plan competitions. So I'd like to end with this quote by Demosthenes, who is actually a Greek philosopher of the 4th century BC. Small opportunities are often the beginning of great enterprises. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geeta, for that interesting presentation. Due to the paucity of time, we'll skip the discussions part of it. And what I request you is that the speakers will be around during the lunchtime, and and after lunch also, you can interact with them individually. Let me go straight to Vipin now for a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Srimati Omita Polji, Secretary to the Honorable President, Professor Anil Gupta, Sri Mittalji, Professor Richman, Professor Zimmerman, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to propose vote of thanks on behalf of Rashtrapati Bhavan, National Innovation Foundation and Honeybee Network in this very important event. This roundtable is important as after 1 year, all the Innovation Club members, they came here, they shared their vision, their work, process, learning with each other. This is definitely will lead to a good networking, and that is needed for inclusive development of the country. This is a great opportunity to learn from each other's activity. I am thankful to all the club members who came from different parts of the country. A rich discussion will help in streamlining of the activities of all the clubs. I am happy to note that we are now more focusing on the problems of common people, how now innovation clubs are connected with the people to address the needs of the rural, societal and industrial issues. That was the aim. Thanks to Sharad Sharma, Vishal Gondal for sharing your valuable experience, struggle and ultimately the success. This will be a great help in the journey of innovation clubs, and all the people associated with it and innovators will get motivated out of your experience. Professor Uriel Richman, Mark Prensky, John Webb, S.K. Saha, Professor V.K. Vijay, and our TPI collaborators, Ms. Geeta and Ms. Deepanvita, added the tremendous value to the round table. My sincere thanks to you all. My profound thanks to Mrs. Omita Paul, the Secretary to the President, for sharing her experience. Now we can see that one innovator can only understand the importance of innovations. So Madam has shared the innovations in the process, and definitely all of us are motivated with your rich experience, Madam. My big thanks to Sri Suresh Yadavji and his team, all the officers of Rashtrapati Bhavan and staff, who work day and night to make this roundtable a great success. Thank you all. I also request you to please collect the copies of Honeybee and Gyati book from there. Tushar is there to help.
So there is one announcement. Today is the birthday of Mr. Mark, so we are celebrating in the next room. So wish him happy birthday. Now I invite you to the lunch hosted by Madam Secretary Srimati Omita Paul.
Just a small point. We will be going after the lunch to the exhibition ground where your posters are displayed. It is extremely important that you give feedback to each other. You see, you have come all the way from all over the country. And if you do not talk to each other and give feedback, so please nobody should go away. Please spend time, look at each other's posters, give them comments, see how we can make it better.